Good morning, good afternoon everyone, and welcome to the first of our 2 webinars taking place this week. My name is Joanne from the RFD Aberdeen team. Today I'm hosting the session with my colleague Andreas, who is on the other side of the world from me in Australia. Andreas is the main RE from our team based in Perth, supporting our tNav users throughout Australia and New Zealand. Thank you to everyone who has joined us today. Oops, sorry. RFD teams are continuing to work from home across the world, supporting our clients remotely. The best place to keep in touch with us and keep up to date with RFD activity is our LinkedIn page, so make sure you're following us to hear all about upcoming webinars and other tNav updates. If you haven't joined one of our webinars before, this is how it will work. All of the attendees today have had their microphone automatically muted, so if you would like to ask a question for Andreas, please use the window in the control panel and we'll answer as many as we can at the end. If we don't have time to answer your question live, we will follow up with you personally afterwards. We are recording this session and we will upload that later on to our YouTube channel, so you can view it there at your convenience. And if you'd like any more information, you can email us asktnav@rfdyn.com. In today's webinar, Andreas will take you through a presentation and live demonstration of MyRFD, our cloud computing platform hosted on Amazon Web Services. We have recently made some updates to this offering and Andreas is very excited to share the new developments with you. We have a variety of webinar topics coming up over the next few weeks. The 2 sessions from last week are available on YouTube and you can see the other upcoming topics listed here. In our webinars, we have been showing you a wide range of demonstrations from each stage of the integrated workflow inside tNavigator. If there's a functionality that you haven't used before and you would like to hear more about it, don't hesitate to get in touch with our team for further details and trial licenses. So now I will hand you over to Andreas to begin the presentation. Thank you, Andreas.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Jan. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in today. I hope you're all keeping safe and well wherever you're viewing us from. My name is Andres and I'm part of the RFD team based here in Perth, Australia. We appreciate you taking time off your day to have a listen to us, so we certainly hope you find this useful. As Jan said, the topic for today's webinar is MyRFD, which is our complete subsurface platform solution on the cloud. So, as a technology solutions company, we receive a lot of feedback from our users. So I'd like to begin the presentation by showing you some of the challenges that we very commonly see. The first point that I'd like to show revolves around licensing. So in your standard company, we usually have a number of in-house licenses that are supposed to be shared amongst teams and users. The number of these licenses is often based on the average load that the company is expected to have. Now, the problem with this is that the demand for licenses is not flat. It has peaks, it has troughs, and in many cases, it's actually trending upwards. So what this means is that at points when stimulation is critical, we're sometimes constrained by the amount of license we currently have. Now, the obvious solution for this is acquiring more licenses, but this process can sometimes take more time than we have. And in order to tackle this challenge, we actually need a model that has a solid base number of licenses, but also a fluctuating number of licenses on top of that to use where and when we need them. Another challenge we face has to do with hardware. As our models get bigger and more complex, our requirement for better software and hardware also grows. So at RFD, we take care of the software side of things by providing you with the state-of-the-art toolkits that use the newest tech and also employ effective hardware utilization. However, the hardware component of things usually falls in the jurisdiction of different teams within your company. So whilst it's never been easier and cheaper to own in-house clusters or really powerful computers, we understand not everybody's ready or desiring to invest in this sort of capital. So to face this challenge, we also need a model that allows clients to use high performance hardware without having to outright purchase it. The third challenge that I want to show you is actually one which we are increasingly hearing more about, and is actually quite a new challenge brought about by the current world events. So as organizations ask their employees to abide by social distancing rules and to stay at home where possible, there are more people working remotely right now than ever before. In order to support this massive and pretty much seemingly overnight shift in working conditions, a huge amount of IT work is actually necessary. And while some companies may be well equipped to handle these challenges, others might not have the necessary systems put in place to allow them to work remotely. And even if they do, the systems can sometimes be slow or inadequate for the work that needs to be done. So to be able to face this challenge, the solution that we use needs to be able to bridge this gap. And this is where the topic we're discussing today comes in. So at RFD, we want to help. So we started thinking and we realized that there is actually a system that can help tackle all these challenges and maybe even save you a headache or two along the way. And that solution is the cloud. So as you probably know, the cloud is simply just a platform that allows you to utilize the software and hardware from companies that specialize in these things. This removes the needs for you or your IT team to worry about your setup and allows you to focus on the things that matter to you. By combining tNavigator's unparalleled speeds along with Amazon's virtually limitless computing power, we're able to actually bring you a solution that is as fast as a cluster in a package as small as a laptop. So let's go and revisit some of those challenges we mentioned before and see how they can be addressed by the cloud. So in terms of the first challenge, we are talking about not having enough licenses to get us through some of those simulation intensive months, which looks a little bit like the graph I'm showing you here. The dotted line represents our in-house number of licenses, but as our simulation requirements change or increase, we actually face a problem. Normally, we either have control, we have to control the number of licenses used, or we get more licenses to meet new demands. However, sometimes the procurement of new licenses can take some time, which is not ideal. So how can we tackle this issue? With MyRFD, we're actually able to expand and contract the number of licenses available to suit our project needs. This allows you to use your in-house licenses for your day-to-day base work and use the power of the cloud for your big projects, giving you pretty much unlimited scalability right when you need it. What is great about this is that it actually fits a lot of different companies. So whether you have on and off usage, or you have a company where you're experiencing some fast growth, you have variable, unpredictable simulation requirements, or even predictable peaks, by combining in-house licenses with MyRFD, you're able to tackle any project anytime, no matter the size. So what about our second challenge, the hardware? So in terms of hardware, MyRFD gives you access to state-of-the-art computing hardware without having to invest or care for it even. AWS is a pioneer in cloud solutions and are continuously updating their computer fleet to use the most up-to-date technology available. As such, they possess some of the best high-performance computing technology out there. The MyRFD model then means you won't need to worry about acquiring hardware, keeping on top of the technology curve, or even server maintenance. Pretty much just click and you get to play with the most advanced toys. So on the subject of people working from home, MyRFD actually represents the perfect platform for remote work. With this platform, we actually take care of the software, hardware, and setup, so you don't have to worry about it. Your team wouldn't have to worry about procuring or developing new systems to support working from home. Just go anywhere with an internet connection, and you will have a powerful workstation available for you to do your work within minutes. Okay, so we've seen how this technology can be used to tackle some of the challenges that we see day to day. But what sort of features can you expect it to have? And the first thing I'd like to touch on is elasticity, which is a concept that makes this sort of system very useful. MyRFD is actually a fully elastic simulation platform. What this means is that you can scale the amount of computer power you use up and down to tailor your simulation requirements, whatever they might be. So if your simulation requirements are not too high and you're working on a single small model, you can work on one computer. However, as soon as you need more power, say for example, you're running a large model with say 500 million cells or 1 billion cells, you can simply just scale up and you're using a few machines to actually thump all the work in a very fast time frame. But then let's say you want to do an optimization under uncertainty exercise, or maybe a big history matching project. Now this requires hundreds, if not thousands of simulations. Well, at the click of a button, you can pretty much scale to tens, hundreds of machines all working together to thump all your simulations. This effectively cuts back your simulation times down to your desired time frame, making projects that used to take months because you didn't have a computer or a license take literally just a couple hours. And once you're done with running the simulations, you can scale back down to one single node to view your results. The technology essentially molds itself around what you want to utilize, and that is one of its biggest advantages. Another feature which kind of goes hand in hand with what we talked about earlier is the use of the most up-to-date computer technology available. So the advantage of letting a hardware and software experts handle your computing setup is the fact that you get access to cutting-edge tech. Whether it's using the newest CPUs or the most powerful GPUs available in the market, by combining TNAV speed and smart hardware, with AWS always growing and virtually limitless computer infrastructure, we're able to bring you a solution where you can do your work in the easiest, fastest, most effective way possible. Another feature of the system is its browser-based technology. So the use of this technology means you can actually access TNAV from wherever you are, no matter what platform or type of system you're using. So picture this. It's 5 p.m. on a Friday evening, and you want to set up a couple of thousands of simulations, why not, to run through the weekend before you go home. So you go to MyRFD, send the cases up, and start your simulation. Then you go home. So during the weekend, maybe you're in a barbecue or whatever you choose to spend your time in, you're wondering how your cases are going. So you grab your phone, you log into MyRFD, and connect to the stack, where you find out that your thousands of simulations are of course finished because you're using the most up-to-date software and hardware out there. So this is the sort of thing that browser-based technology allows us to do, enabling us to access our tools whenever and wherever. Another feature of the cloud is its inbuilt data storage system. MyRFD actually uses AWS Object Storage Platform, which is called S3. Now, this platform is essentially a cloud for the cloud, and it provides us with a floating repository that allows you to store and retrieve any amount of data from anywhere you are. The S3 service itself has industry-leading performance, scalability, availability, durability, and it offers unmatched security. What is more, this storage is practically limitless, which basically allows you to have a permanent cloud-based data storage solution for yourself and your company within MyRFD. Our cloud solution also has a global infrastructure. Amazon has one of the most extensive cloud infrastructures in the world, and they're always expanding to new regions. The circles you see here represent data centers. So wherever you are, there is likely to be a data center close to you that can be used for your computations. Our clients here in Perth, for example, use the Sydney data service. And despite the information has to travel almost 4,000 kilometers away, Australia is a big place, there are no problems with latency or connection speeds. And of course, we can't talk about cloud without raising the point of security. So we understand your data is very important and keeping it safe is our priority. As such, the cloud has one of the highest security systems we have ever seen. This is actually one of the reasons we partner with Amazon, as for them, data security is their business. Amazon Web Services has a very large number of certifications in cybersecurity. They have a large number of users from government agencies to national defense departments whose data security is of the utmost importance. They work closely with us to ensure your data is secure and can provide a range of different services to suit your requirements. So enough about me talking about how wonderful it is. What does the system actually look like and how does it work? Well, we're going to give you a little bit of a demonstration after this presentation. But before we get there, let me just show you a little bit on how it's structured and how it works. This right here is the infrastructure of MyRFD. And there's essentially two parts of MyRFD. The part that happens at your home or office, and the part that is located in the data server or in the cloud. So let me get my trusty laser pointer. So looking at the first section, we have your workstation, the user workstation. And of course, because there are no computational intensive operations that will be performed on this system, the computer can be anything. It can be a laptop, a desktop, your phone, your tablet. This particular user workstation is then connected to the MyRFD portal, which is essentially a website that is used in two ways. Firstly, as a handling page for you to specify the type of structure that you'd like the cloud to have. And secondly, as the main connection between you and the cloud. Now, on the right-hand side, we have the elements that are located on the cloud. The structure of this section can change, but in its simplest form is comprised of three elements. We have a visualization node that allows you to view and use tNav as if you were working on your home computer. We have an elastic fleet of very high-spec computer nodes, which are excellent at crunching numbers and simulations. And we have a master node, which controls the communication between visualization node and compute nodes. The main element you as a user will be exposed to is this MyRFD portal. To access MyRFD is as easy as just opening your web browser and typing the address for your nearest region. In my case is the Australia region or the AU region, where you'll be greeted by the landing page where you'll enter some credentials to sign into your system. You can get in contact with us if you'd like to try this and get some credentials as well. Once in, you'll gain access to the portal where you can see the computers that you're currently using, manage your credits, and access the instances you want to use. As you can see, we have a range of different types of computer infrastructures to suit every sort of job. These are also fully customizable. So if you're into that sort of stuff and you want something specifically made for you, you can get in contact with us and we can make you a specific node offer to suit your every need. After selecting the nodes, you'll be taken to the visualization node where you can work just as if you were in a workstation. Everything is browser-based, so you'll effectively be connecting and visualizing the visualization node from Firefox, Chrome, Safari, or dare I say Edge if you use that. I know it is hard to believe there's no latency issues, so I'll show you soon during the demonstration. But from there, you can pretty much put models in a queue and scale your computing power up or down depending on the task at hand. Say you have a big project coming up in a couple of days and have a couple of thousands of simulations to run. Under standard circumstances, this would be a bit of a problem. However, this system, you can scale pretty much to run 30, 60, 100 simulations simultaneously, effectively shortening your project timeline to any desired scale. So that's enough of me blabbering over a PowerPoint. Let me show you what the system actually looks like. So let me exit here. And essentially, this is just my standard browser. I'm using Google Chrome. I've already signed in, so I just type the region that I want to enter, which is the Australia region or AU region. And what this will take you is will take you to the first part of the MyRFD portal. This is where you specify the sort of infrastructure that you would like to utilize for your computers to have. The first thing that you'll see is this dashboard page. The dashboard page shows you your credits, how many stacks you currently have running, so how many computers you currently have, and give you a bit of a high-level snapshot. You can also view your credits on the top where, and they can be kind of partitioned into different teams if you'd like. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to tell it actually which computer we want to utilize. So I'm going to go to the second section on the left-hand side here, which is called the offers. And the offers essentially gives us a list of computers that are available for us to utilize. So Again, this is fully customizable. So depending on what you want to do, we can create a compute that it's tailored to your needs. But from there, we can select which one we want. Say, for example, I'm just using mine for general use. So I'm going to click on buy. And this effectively tells the system that I want to use credits to book this particular instance. We give it a name. Say, for example, let's just call it a demonstration. We can also give it some limits if we want to be careful and we want to make sure that we don't exceed a certain amount of hours or use dollars or credits. We can use these limits for us. So I can, for example, enter 2 hours. I don't want to use more than that. Click submit. And what this will do is will take me to the third section, which is the stack section. And the stack section essentially is going to give us a list of the stacks that we currently have booked and we currently have available for us. So you just give it a second. We are on stacks. We're going to be loading. And what's happening is this is the one that we just booked. You can see it has a symbol that says starting. So during this process, what's happening is we're taking care of all the software and licensing, everything. We're taking care of that for you. So we're essentially installing tNavigator on a machine. We're making sure you can utilize it and visualize it. And we're putting all the infrastructure necessary for you to actually do your work. So this is a process that can take anywhere from 5 minutes to 15 minutes. It depends kind of on availability of what's happening. We're constantly looking at ways of improving this particular time, but just bear in mind that during this process, there's a lot happening. We're taking care of everything that needs to be done in order for you to utilize tNavigator on the cloud. So once it goes through that process, it will change to ready, in which case we can then connect to it. If at any point I want to delete or not utilize something, or if I want to return this before it even starts charging, I can very simply just go and tell it to return that particular stack, at which point it will go and it will start terminating that stack. So it will start erasing everything that's on that particular stack. So what we're going to do is I have one that I clicked just a little bit before because I didn't feel like sitting here in silence for 5 to 10 minutes. So I got one that's already ready, so I'm going to connect to it. It's going to allow me to connect. And this opens the second part of my RFD portal, which is essentially where we specify where we can connect to the visualization node and start using tNavigator in the cloud. So in here, we're actually visualizing some things that have to do with this particular instance that we booked. So we can see the files that are in there. We can see we have this thing called a tNavigator workspace, which is what we do most of our work in. However, up till now, we haven't really seen where's tNavigator. So what I'm going to do is, do you see this particular section here called Linux Desktop? I'm going to very quickly click on it, and it creates essentially a virtual desktop for you to use. So in this case, I've created one already. What I'm going to do is click it, and it adds another tab. And in this tab, we're essentially visualizing, we're loading and visualizing the visualization node. So I'm just going to give it a couple of seconds. And you can see this system adapts itself to the resolution of your screen or the size of your screen. So whether I have a big screen like I have here, or I have a laptop or a tablet or a phone, the system will mold itself to whichever size screen you have, and it will allow you to interface through with it. So from here, we can see we have our standard Linux desktop. If you're not familiar with Linux, it's actually quite similar to Windows. And to pass information, there's many ways. We already have S3 kind of incorporated in here. However, the other option, which is actually quite easy, we can simply interface with the files that are in here. So what I can do is say, for example, I want to run a model, and I haven't passed it to my desk visualization node. What I can do is simply use the file storage system here and tell it to upload a file. So I'm going to upload a file that I, just a small model that I have here. Click OK, and you can see within a couple of seconds we have that model up in our system. If we look at our internal files and our tNav workspace, which is again where we work mostly from, we have the zip file here. And to extract it, because obviously we need to work with full files, it's as simple as just going drag and drop. Now, bear in mind that whilst we're doing this, I'm kind of connected to a computer in Sydney and kind of broadcasting this to well, what seems to be a lot of you. So obviously, in my computer, I don't see any latency. You might see a little bit of lag between them, but if you'd like, you're more than welcome to try. We invite you to give it a try and see it for yourself how there's not issues with this sort of lag. So I'm going to click close this, and let's just open our tNav and start working on it. So we can simply open our tNavigator executable. You can see it's as if you were working on your standard workstation. So let's open that model that we had before. Let me just search for it. Bear with me. Here we go. Perfect. And as soon as it gets a hold of that model, you see the log, you see exactly the same you would on your computer. You can see the Linux interface is not any different to what you're expecting. And for this particular example, say we want to run a history matching process. So let's actually make a history matching project out of it. I'm going to do, this is actually a tutorial example. You can play around with it if you'd like. It's available on our website. But I'm going to create a quick history matching project here. Give it a name. That's fine. Now, the only difference when you're working on the cloud is this. It's going to allow you to select where you want to run your simulations. So if it's a small model and you're just running one, you can run the model on the visualization node, which is essentially a low-spec computer which has probably around the same power of your standard laptop or maybe our home computer. What you can use instead, if you have big simulations, is the high performance computing nodes that you have that we talked about before. So I'm going to tell it to run on the high performance computers. Click OK. And then from there, it's pretty much exactly the same as you would on a history matching project. It's going to give us some options. And it's going to give us some options to run either whatever type of experiment we want to run. Now, this is probably not the best approach to do a history match, but let's say we want to use brute force and we want to just run 1,000 simulators just off the bat. Why not? So we can do 1,000 simulations. Click OK. It's going to generate those simulations for us, and we can see we're starting to run those simulations all at the same time. So we're essentially running thousands of simulations. We're running, in this particular node has, I believe, 16 compute nodes associated with it. So running 16 at a time, but we effectively can cut down our simulation times by any factor necessary. So once this is done, we can essentially, if you want to extract some information, you can do all use post-processing here if you'd like. Or if you'd like to extract some information and view it on your home computer, you can simply go back to the previous tab that we have, look at the internal files and extract the files that you would like to use. Or if you'd like to just pretty much back up the entire stack and the entire computing node, what you can do is simply go to the very first portal stage, and we can tell it to back up and delete the instance. So if we delete the instance, this is for data security reasons. Your data, obviously, everything that's in there will be wiped out. But if you simply just back it up, it will be waiting for you in your S3 bucket. There's also a system that does automatic backups. So if by any point it reaches a limit that you imposed in the terms of hours or charge, it will automatically back up all the data that you have to your S3 bucket so you have available for you later. So if you forget about it, there's no big hassles. So that's essentially MarFD in a nutshell. There's a bunch of things. We can probably talk about this for ages, and there's a lot of really interesting things that you can do and applications that you can do. I hope you found this useful. I'm going to give the mic back to Joanne whilst I look at some questions, and then we can see how many questions we can answer. So yeah, thank you very much for your attention, and I'll pass it back to you, Joanne.
Thank you very much for the presentation, Andreas. Hope everyone enjoyed it. Just a reminder, Our next webinar is on Thursday at 3 p.m. Universal Time, so you can see the local time zones there. And on Thursday, it's with Horatio and Jessica, and that's History Match Your Model using 3D discrete cosine transformation. Andreas, could you just pop to the next slide, please?
Of course.
Thank
There you go.
So just a reminder, you can catch up with webinars on our YouTube page as well, and keep an eye on our LinkedIn page for updates. So I'm sure there are a few questions coming in. Andreas, can you see them?
Yes, I can see a couple. We'll go to as many as we can. All right, I got one here. It says, can you use any browser? Yes, the system has been tested on a number of different browsers and it supports them all. I was using Google Chrome in the demonstration, as you could see there, but I also commonly use Firefox and I've had no issues with it myself. Let's see. Can you connect to other regions? Yes, you can connect to any region. My RFD is currently rolled out to. However, to avoid any issues with connectivity and latency, we always recommend choosing the data center that is closest to you. Let's see what other questions we've got. Can you connect an already existing S3 account? Okay, that's actually a very good question. This is something we've discussed before, and we are actually very interested on the advantages it brings. If you have an existing S3 account and you would like to actually use it as your main data repository, come get in contact with us and we can see what sort of solutions we can implement to make this happen. Okay, let's see. Are there instances with GPU? Yep, excellent question. As we said briefly on one of the slides, there are single and multi-GPU instances available, which depending on the model can show some pretty significant improvements in runtime. However, with GPU, it's as you would know, it's quite model specific. So if you'd like to kind of get a grasp of what sort of improvements you can get with GPU, you can always get in contact with us and we can do some tests for you before you run it on the cloud. Let's see. Can you run one model distributed in multiple compute nodes? Yep, good question as well. Yeah, you can. You can take a model and run it in as many nodes as you like. That being said, though, the compute nodes that we are using are actually quite powerful and quite capable of handling large models quite well. So for this reason, if you're running a lot of simulations, we usually recommend using one model per node. However, if you have very, very big models, by all means, you can spread them around. Okay. When we use pre and post processor, do we need to consume credits? Good question. So the way the credits are consumed is essentially split into visualization node hours and compute node hours. The pricing will depend kind of on the region. If you'd like to know a little bit more on the credit system and the pricing, please get in contact with your local RFD representative, and they can talk to you a little bit more about it. Okay, let's just do one last one. How can I test this product for myself? Excellent question. Just get in contact with one of us and we can, one of your representatives, wherever you are, and we can definitely facilitate that. So I know there's a couple of questions I haven't answered. For all of those people, we'll make sure that we'll follow up and give you answers to your questions. But for now, I really thank you very much. I hope you found this useful. And yeah, thank you very much. We'll probably leave the screen up for a couple more minutes just in case there's any last minute questions. But yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone, and see you at the next webinar.